letters or sounding each and manipulating and chunking, diba? Ang next part naman ng ating webinar series ay pag-turn ng sound na yon into actual words, and that is decoding. This is an essential skill every beginning reader needs to master. O, diba? Kung ready na kayo, kung nakakuha na kayo ng inyong tubig, nakakuha na kayo ng inyong kape, naka-CR na din kayo, diba? Huwag kayong magpapahuli sa ating mga kaganapan this morning. Teacher Daisy? Hi. Ayan, back to you.
Yes, I hope that they will still enjoy seeing my face. We're very overrun with the reactions doon sa ating unang topic, right? Ayan. So let's continue. For this one, we're going to discuss decoding for beginning readers. So kanina, ang discuss natin ay paano itong nitty-gritty, no? Yung mastery of the sounds and manipulation of the sounds. Now we're going to really see that in connection with how they're going to decode. Okay, so objectives natin dito very straightforward. Understand the importance of systematic and structured decoding instruction. Mahalaga na systematic at structured, no? At hindi anything goes ang ating pagtuturo ng decoding. And then definitely we have to plan decoding instruction based on the learner's reading profile. You are lucky, if you're in the public school, you're lucky to have your CRLA that tells you their profile already. So it's easy to now attack to the needs of your learners in terms of their decoding challenges. What are the actual elements of word reading? So if we're going to take a look at the rope of Scarborough, diba? It's a very complex yet very beautiful illustration of the domains of reading that we really have to pay close attention to. Every single part of this, do not worry because you are going to be enriched by this STEM collab trainings. So for the word recognition, as you can see at the bottom, this may look simple, but for word recognition to happen, you should have phonological awareness, which phonemic awareness was a part of. You need decoding and spelling, and definitely sight recognition. We have to understand that these skills allow a reader to be increasingly automatic. We are aiming for automaticity here. So when there is automaticity in reading, then they can focus on comprehending rather than really have a taxing experience on making sense of each symbol on print, right? So they can already proceed to the complex tasks of comprehending. Ayan. So we have to, again, differentiate phonics and decoding. Phonics is the way of teaching that is code-based, right? That there are sound and word patterns happening. For example, the CVC words, CVCE words, those are elements of phonics. But the decoding skills are the skills that you need in order to have ease in the phonics instruction. Okay, so kanina we emphasized on not confusing the terms. We're also going to do that here. Remember that phonics is the actual code-based portion of reading, while word decoding skills would be the tools that you need in order to have ease in the phonics instruction. Phonological awareness and decoding, no, they are woven together because it's crucial to note that without phonological awareness skills, the foundation for decoding skills would not be laid down for the learners. So that would result to challenges in reading. The expectation is that phonological awareness skills are well established even before they are taught to read. So this emphasis on they have to be taught already. However, if they are not taught explicitly prior to decoding, then you have to do it. It still needs to be part of the instruction. In reality, phonological awareness drills happened to just serve as a troubleshooting tool. Dahil hindi nga siya nagawa as a prerequisite activity, it's done already while it's happening. Pero okay lang naman yun, no? Hindi naman siya problematic na ngayon mo palang gagawin while you're already teaching them to read. Ang mahalaga, magawa mo siya talaga. Alright. So it is therefore worth noting that if phonological awareness skills are well established prior to formal reading, then they will have better chances to have a smooth journey in learning to read. But again, if it happens in their learning to read phase already, it's fine. We can work well with that as well.
Okay. We need phonics
Knowledge and decoding skills when we read words. Yan. So for instance, right, this is what I mean when you say you have to explicitly do it. So there's a highlight on saying what the letter is. This is the letter M. The sound of M is M, and moon starts with that sound, moon. And then there is a visual representation of how the mouth should look like when you are saying the sound of M. Because sometimes they cannot seem to connect the sound with how the mouth should look like. So it's very crucial that teachers have sound walls that would really emphasize the positioning of the mouth, the tongue, and the teeth when the sound is being produced. Ayan. Okay? Moon. So here is like a set of pointers for teaching letter sound correspondence. Number 1, follow a sequence which will allow learners to blend phonemes to words easily. Master the sound so you can model it properly. It's very critical for teachers to really have mastery of the sounds of the letters, because you cannot teach something that you don't know, right? So you have to really study that intentionally and really watch yourself doing it in front of the mirror. You can also audio record yourself so that you can really verify if you are producing the sounds correctly. Sometimes the teachers would get upset if the learners are not giving the right sound of the letters. Yun pala mali din yung napoproduce the teacher. So the only way for you to gauge that is to actually audio record yourself, listen to how you're producing the sound, and check versus your credible source if the production is truly correct. Consider the age and developmental levels of the learners. Teacher, kapag ba 3-year-old, kailangan ko nang i-force talaga mag-blend, no? Kasi sabi, choose a sequence that will allow them to blend easily. Hindi po, kino-consider natin yung developmental readiness ng mga bata. So kung sila ay 2.5 or 3 interested already to learn the letter sounds, we can linger on those letter sounds longer and not really intentionally teach them to blend right away. However, if there is a need to already have this decoding skills ready or in place, because it already hampers them from learning more complex domains of reading, then you have to know your intentions, your targets, and the profile of your learner. So it's a case-to-case basis. For really small children, there's really no need to rush. They can enjoy the immersion on these letters with songs, with games, diba? And then for the older learners, they can still have these games and manipulation activities, but then you already have set targets on what you need to cover. So that you have to be very mindful of. Okay. Next, you have to give learners time to process and master these elements. You cannot keep on proceeding without looping the previous sounds that you have taught. It's very important that teachers are always reflective on what they do. Hindi ito a matter of just delivering the instruction, delivering the content of the guide, the curriculum guide, but it's a matter of really having a sound record of the progress of your learners, because it will also pace the way that you deliver your instruction. Provide enough opportunities to practice through manipulation, through sound association, and then take note of the challenges encountered by the learners. Sino ba sa mga learners kayo nahihirapan pa? Sino ba yung isang turo mo
niya agad yung sound, right?
So you very specific with the notes that you have for each learners that you have. Okay, modify
strategies according to observed responses.
For example, may ini-employ ka na strategy, tapos nakita mo, hindi siya nag-work, no? Pero hindi, kailangan ko itong tapusin eh. So, sige lang ng sige si teacher kahit hindi naman siya nakakaroon ng expected impact on the learners. That shouldn't be the case. You have to modify your strategies should there be a need to change it to something that is going to be more efficient and effective for the expected outcomes. No? So you are targeted, you are intentional,
you are reflective,
and you are proactive because should there be a modification needed, you have to be ready with that. Okay, so pointers in teaching letter sound correspondence. Ayan, ito, no, lagi natin nakikita sa mga alphabet charts ito. Hindi naman sinasabing ang gem ay hindi tunog ng G, ang xylophone hindi talaga tunog ng X yan, no? So non-negotiable. Yung ice cream, ang I ay hindi tunog ng I. Wala tayong sinasabing gano'n. Ang sinasabi natin, ang unang-munang kailangan ma-master na tunog ng bata ay yung short sound ng vowels, and then for the words, for the letters with the hard and soft sound, unahin muna yung hard sound. Kasi once that they have a mastery of that and they are familiar with the first layer of sounds, it will be easier for them to know that, oh, the letter G pala has the G and the J sound, and the letter C has the K and the S sound, right? Because there are also rules governing these changes, so it's not correct to assume that the learners can just shift from one thinking hat to another without explicit instruction. As for the X, like I said, hindi po siya xylophone. We have to choose charts that make use of words like box, box, kasi ang tunog ng X ay X. So it's always located at the end of the word and not at the start of the word. So X-ray is not, xylophone is not giving that. So it has to be at the end of the word. Okay. So, should you only limit yourself with books that are intended to teach the letters explicitly? Alam niyo naman, may mga M book, may mga N book, right? Not really. You can make use of genuine text like this, like the lion and the mouse, to prepare that target sound or as a springboard to your target sound. For instance, the character in the story is a lion, so you just read that really, really quickly. You can have a few noting details question, but again, you have to know that your target is to introduce the letter sound of L. Therefore, you shouldn't dwell on your comprehension activities, but go straight to, in that story, the main characters that we have are the lion and the mouse, and lion starts with the sound L made by the letter L. So letter L makes a sound L as in lion, and then this is how you write the big letter L and the small letter L. Okay? So, yes, highly intended books for letter sound correspondence are allowed, decodable texts are allowed, but genuine and authentic texts can be used as a springboard for your target letters so long as you are not losing your focus on your target at the moment, which is to teach the letter sound and form. Locating phonemes. Okay, again, when you're teaching the letter sounds, hindi pwedeng laging nasa simula lang, no? I have here a set of cards. All of these cards have pictures in them, and these pictures are starting with our target sound, which is Hindi pwedeng puro nandun lang si M sa unahan. It's very important that you already expose them and immerse them to, if I say lemon, where do you hear the
Is it at the start, middle,
or end? Then if the children will say middle, teacher, that's correct. How about in mushroom, right? Do you hear them at the start, at the middle, or in the end? And they will say start, end. Really hear the at the end, so that's correct, right? And it's good that the learners are critical in telling you that in mushroom you can hear the sound both at the start and at the end of the word. How about in mixing? So they should be able to tell you that they can hear the sound at the start of the word. How about jam?
You can hear it at the end of the
word. So this should be a practice that should already happen in reality. Again, not not only at the start of the pictures that they're showing. Okay, so from there, you're now going to blend, right? For instance, you already have introduced the letters M-A-T, like, and to sum the sequence, that sequence, they have this sequence, they start with M-A-T. So you can already say, let's review the sounds of these letters. These are the letters M,
A, and T. The
sounds are A. Can you do that? And then you can randomly ask them to, you can point at the letter and ask them to sound it out. It shouldn't always be linear from left to right when you're asking them. It can be random, just so that you know that they are not memorizing the sound as they go along into that pattern, right? Okay, now let's try to put them together, right? So if I move the tiles, would the children still be able to catch the sounds that I have given them? So again, it's important that you are moving your tiles, moving your phonemes. It shouldn't always just be linear. Okay, let's say the sounds and blend them together. At, right? Mat.
There, you can have this kind of
Representation so that they can follow through, right? Okay. So once that they continue to accumulate more letters, they can already add words, because after mat, you have tam, you have you have at, you have amt, the non-word, which can be a part of the bigger word later on. So the brain needs to orthographically map that so that when they see the amt and other words and longer words, that would be automatically be decoded because it's
already present in their
mapping. Okay? They can use their knowledge on sounding out to process parts of these words that are spelled with actual letters and sounds. All right, so let us make a recap on that, words to phrases. It's very important that we do looping, right? So after you have introduced, for instance, M-A-T, the sounds
of M-A-T, the words that can be
formed with M-A-T, those letters and the sounds that they have, and you're now doing S-T, for instance, you have to always loop the previously learned ones
with the current sounds that
you have to form a great number of words, and eventually the high frequency words would come into play. Okay, pati itong high frequency
words, you might get a confusion
in this one, right? High frequency words are words that you see a lot, right? And they allow you to read with ease also, because it fosters continuity while you're reading. When does it become a sight word? Both the phonetically regular words and the sight words, and the high-frequency words, become sight words when they are orthographically mapped. So that means that the brain can already associate the sounds with the letters, with the grapheme. So you can now recognize them by sight, right? Because you already know them, the brain already knows them. Not memorize them, but map them. Those are two different things. They use definitely their knowledge on sounding out to make sense of the high-frequency words.
Po talaga,
Dapat pinapamemorize ang sight words. Dapat ito ay tinuturo natin na merong mga parts ng sight word o ng kanilang high-frequency words na pwede nilang tunugin. Like in the word said, ay paano itong integrity that the heart part, no? Because you remember it by heart. Kasi kapag ang bata, kaya niyang gamitin yung kanyang knowledge on phony manipulation and alphabet knowledge in somewhat making the difficulty smaller. That is a self-help skill. So sa dami ng sight words, we have 4,000, more than 4,000 high-frequency words, diba? Kung i-memorize lahat ng bata yan, that's taking so much space in the child's brain. But if the child will employ a self-help skill from what we have explicitly taught on explicit manipulation of sounds, then it will not take them they will not have a difficult time trying to spell the word said, because they know that in said, I can hear the s.
I can hear the D and the
E is made up of the hard part, which is A and I. Soon after, syempre kaya na nilang magkaroon ng simple decodable text. Ganyan kaganda kapag yung looping nangyayari, no? Hindi sila masyadong natatagalan para makabasa ng decodable texts. So, to have this as an example, the assumption is that MATSE have already been taught and the basic high-frequency words were already given to the children. So Sam has a set. It is a set of fins. The set is from Pam. She sat on the mat. The set of fins are on the mat too. Pam sat with Sam. He has a set of nets. These are for the set of fins. Sam can set the fins in the nets. So it's very critical for teachers to practice kahit sa BBC and basic high-frequency words lang ang laman yan. It is our responsibility as a sign of respect for the children that we practice the decodable sets that we read to them, that we model reading to them, because we have to, like what I said, enunciate the words properly. So chunking will work best for this one. Sam has a set. It is a set of fins. The set is from Pam. She sat on the mat. The set of fins are on the mat too. Pam sat with Sam. He has a set of nets. These are for the set of fins. Sam can set the fins in the nets. So if your teacher has a tendency to be bulol with some words or to have mistakes in saying your P and F, then you really have to practice so that when you deliver it to the children, you would be able to say fins properly, set properly, nets properly, right? And you don't use the galit-galitan technique, right? Where the teachers would get upset when they are corrected in saying, mispronouncing some words just because they didn't practice it. So huwag natin input yung blame sa mga bata pag nagkakamali tayo, when in fact po ay dapat pinractice natin ito, no? Para, again, as a sign of leadership, for example, and also to really model how fluency has to be done or how it's done. Ayan. So, simple decodable text for fluency, the scenario is in summary, right? You have taught already these letters in sequence, and then you have already covered these high-frequency words that have eventually turned into sight words. Pwede po ba magtanong sa decodable texts? Yes. Definitely, no? So, pero ilimit lang natin sa noting details questions kasi lagi nating tatandaan na ang ating target ay nakabasa sila. So dapat ang tanong lang natin are questions that would make them note the details, because noting details is a preparation for higher order questions, right? So dapat yung familiarity nila sa who, sa nangyari, anong ginawa, sinong nagbigay, diba? They remember that. But limit it lang to not asking a lot of inferential and evaluative questions or creative questions. What do you think the author what was the inspiration of the author when he wrote this decodable text, diba? We don't ask questions like that for decodable texts, but more on in making sure that they are at level or in the same zone as you when you're reading it. Okay? But definitely, syempre gusto natin na-develop themselves, so we can ask questions, feelings questions like, what does Sam feel about herself? What made you say so? What's your proof that she really felt that way? What kind of friend is Sam for giving her the set? What are your proofs? Ganyan lang, more on feelings, no? So that they also develop the value of appreciating what's given to them and thanking, no? They have to have that culture of always expressing their gratitude towards things that are just given to them and that they didn't work hard for. So, ayan. In conclusion, huwag tayong mag-assume that learners know what reading is. Set your targets with them. Ito, I have to dwell a little bit on this one because minsan meron tayong mga assumptions na ito lang yung kaya nila or ito lang yung ibibigay ko kasi I decided this is what they can take in at the moment. You can only gauge that if you are really mindful of the responses that they are giving you while you're giving the instruction. So it's very critical for teachers, uy, ang galing na nilang mag-blend, no? So parang kaya nila na sila yung mag-e-extract ng CVC words from a list of letters that we have covered. Diba? Don't always give the CVC words to them. For all you know, they can already, because you've taught it already, they can already provide for you. You can do that as a form of a game. You can do that by asking who wants to share. You can have a picture and have them associate as many CVC words that they can with those pictures. Right? So, get to know your students more. Huwag lang tayong halagara turo ng turo, walang connection dun sa estudyante. Hindi mo na monitor kung ilan yung learners mo na at level, how many learners ang following ka sa ginagawa mo o may iba nang iniisip. Right? You have to at kahit madami po yung mga estudyante natin, dapat makikita natin at kilala natin sila on a personal note so that we are targeting their strengths and weaknesses for the purpose of really improving and attending to their needs. Reflect on your teaching. Masyado bang matinis ang boses ko na kaya hindi niya natatandaan yung tunog kasi mas nafo-focus siya dun sa intensity ng pag-deliver ko rather than the letter sound itself. And that can only happen when you are recording, audio recording yourself. Kasi sometimes, right now, the phones are very modern, they can do transcription of what you're saying. Subukan nyo minsan mag-audio record tapos i-copy transcript nyo. Makikita nyo na meron pala kayong mga words na hindi na-enunciate properly. So, di ba? Paano pa kaya yung reception ng mga bata doon? Or how did it even cross from your delivery to the hearing of the children, right? So, reflect, provide immediate feedback to kids who are having difficulty, mali yung kanyang nasabing tunog. Huwag mo palagpasin yun, di ba? You're not, hindi yun, misconception yun na, oh, but the child might get offended. But there's always a better way to say the correction properly to the children without them getting offended, right? Oh, I heard that you've said pet instead of pit. This is actually a word with an I sound in the middle, so it's not pet, but it's pit. Can you do that again with me? Pit, right? So in that tone, you are correcting without offending. But if you're gonna say, bakit sinabi mo dyan, pet? Pet ba yan? Di ba yan? So dapat pit yan. So yung bata parang, naku, ayoko na yatang magsabi kasi baka mamaya I will get embarrassed again. So we have to be careful with how we are also providing our feedback. Not naman, teacher, baka naman masyado na silang iniisip na nila. Sensitive, pwede akong ma-offend lagi, kaya gawin ko na lang mali. Anyway, teacher naman is very calm. Again, hindi naman ganun yun. No? So you have to be gentle, you have to be kind, calm, and firm. So you are very focused on the targets that you have, but you are always mindful
with the manner of the delivery that you
are giving your feedback to the children or to the learners. Teach learners how to think, have them ask themselves, what did I find difficult? Why was sounding out difficult for me? Why was blending difficult for me? Why can I not make CVC words on my own? So probably when teacher had a discussion on that, I didn't pay attention to the list of words that she gave. So you're not only reflecting on how they're responding, but you're also teaching them to reflect, to manage their own learning. So it's very important that they are also accountable in the manner in which they learn, and that can happen when you involve them in the transaction. Ang pagbabasa ay transaction, no? Hindi lang ito nangyayari sa sarili ng bata, involved pa bilang teacher at involved siya bilang learner sa kanyang sariling pagkatuto. Yeah, and with that, we can already accommodate some questions.
Ang ganda nung sinabi mo kanina, Teacher Daisy, that the students should have their ownership sa pagkakatuto, ownership sa learning nila. They have their part, you have your part as a teacher. And I like also how you always mention na hindi ang pag-confront sa kanila ng pagalit ang paraan para mas matuto sila na ano ba yan, hindi mo pa naman alam. Although mga teachers, I know sometimes, di ba, parang pagod ka na, panghapon na yung klase mo, tas mali pa rin yung pagkakabasa ng students mo, di ba? And it's okay. But as the adult in the room, di ba, parang dapat ikaw yung may mas awareness na, okay, baka ganito ang tamang approach, baka ganito ang tamang pagturo. No? Thank you, Teacher Daisy, no? Ang dami talagang na notes, ang dami mong naituro sa amin. Guiding us through the world of decoding for beginning readers. Ngayong part na to, ito yung part ng ating session, no? Kung saan pwede nang magtanong yung ating mga kakulab. Kung kayo ay may tanong tungkol sa decoding strategies, classroom application, and Teacher Daisy, ako personally as a teacher, I appreciate how the strategies you've mentioned are something that we can apply right away, no, sa classroom natin. Monday agad. Parang, this is something that we can do differently. Asking who wants to share. Word association. Ano pa ang alam nyo na ibang mga salita na konektado dito sa salitang ito? Minsan kasi itong ganitong mga learning opportunity, di ba, Teacher Daisy, no? Kala nila nagsasaya lang kayo sa classroom, pero natututo na din pala sila, di ba? So, mga kakulab, type in your question in the comment section. Bawat tanong ay pwedeng makatulong sa iba rin nating mga kakulab na curious din and seeking for clarification. Kanina nga, no, Teacher Daisy, nakikita ko na yung mga sharing nila. Tapos yung mga kakulab din, parang ako din, I have that experience. Ganito yung ginawa ko. That kind of collaboration that we have in this community. Ang ganda talaga. Now, we have this question on the screen right now. Babasahin ko from Sir Ray Mark Ibay. How can we explain the sounds from the word said? AI vowels are sounded as E, and to the word such as made.
Okay, this is a very good question.
Correct.
Said is a high-frequency word, so it shouldn't be associated with the word pattern A in made, which is a long A sound, right? So the long A sound can be produced either by A-Y, A-magic E, A-I, but apparently said it doesn't fall into that category. So you just need to reiterate to the children that said that we're studying high-frequency words, meaning they are frequently occurring in the text, and there are words that follow certain word patterns. Ito yung phonics, no, kanina na pinag-uusapan natin. Kaya dapat talaga maalam yung mga teachers doon sa ano-ano ba yung mga word patterns in words that we are introducing to the children. Kailangan malinaw sa kanila na may differences on high-frequency words na nagiging sight words in time, di ba, pag na-map na ng brain. Kasi, like I said, it cannot be categorized under the pattern where the word made is included, because that is words with the long sound of A, AI, formed by AI. but SEM is a high-frequency word.
Naalala ko, Teacher Daisy, meron yung teacher ko nung grade 5. She was teaching us yung mga sounds ng letter. And then sinulat niya sa board namin, GOTI. G-H-O-T-I. Sabi niya sa amin, ang basa daw, parang, you can read it as fish. Kasi daw yung G-H of that word, the F sound from enough. And then nag-goatee. Basta parang ganon. She was able to get it from different sounds sa different words, showing us that, oh, yung mga letters na alam nyo, pwedeng iba rin yung sound nila.
Correct.
And we were, parang syempre grade 5, parang, oo nga no, ano ba kayang ibang words yung ganon?
Alam mo, teach, napakaganda ng pinunta ko na yan. Kasi sa totoo lang, word pattern instruction, minsan humihinto na siya at grade 2 or grade 3. When in fact, dapat continuous siya. Even in stage 2. Bakit? Kasi when they encounter multisyllabic words, there are also origins of these words, right? So kapag yung bata, nire-reiterate mo yung rules, no? They are not overwhelming. You think sometimes, dami-dami naman ng rules, baka mahilo na yung mga bata. Actually, the rules will guide them so that they can group the words, diba? May mga rules kasi, bakit? Kailan ba CK? C, right? So, dapat malinaw sa kanila na kapag ganitong one syllable short vowel sound, diba? Dun merong mga CK, like thick, sick, right? Wala naman tayong CVC word na mag-end sa C lang, right? So, one syllable siya, kaya rin ginagamit ng CK kung one syllable siya. Kasi for example, long vowel yung nakalagay. Seek, diba? S-E-E-K. Hindi siya CK. Bakit? Kasi long yung vowel. But if it's sick, they're sick, right? Then you know that it's a CK. So, may mga rules na magpapadali talaga ng mga spelling problems sa mga bata. But again, we will go back to having it systematic and structured.
Ako pa, meron akong personal question. Personal consultation. So we have students, di ba, in our classroom, parang they're having a hard time reading, ganyan. And some teachers and some school of thought, they're saying na you have to teach them in the language that they're more comfortable with. Or parang turuan mo muna sila sa pagbasa ng alam nila. Or for example, Filipino muna, ganyan. Do you have like a specific rule on that na parang dapat tinuturo mo muna Filipino kasi mas mabilis mabasa? Lang yun, hindi confusing with other letters. May mga ganun ba tayong discussion?
Yes, meron yun dun sa kahadahan na makita natin yung similarity ng English alphabet with the Filipino alphabet. So dapat hindi sila pinaglalaban kasi they're complementary, no? So given na yung bata talaga, meron siyang strong foundation in Filipino. Ang kailangan mo sabihin sa kanya, you can use the knowledge that you have with the letters in Filipino in learning English. Because in the case of my daughter, she learned Filipino first because we speak Filipino at home. And we learned to speak English. But she didn't have a hard time learning English because I just say, most of the letters, they sound the same, except for, diba, parang alam naman natin may mga ang vowel in Filipino ay matigas ang gitin. So, ganun din, when we're teaching English speakers to speak Filipino or to read in Filipino, i-emphasize mo lang na, oh, you don't say, paso, right? Diba? Kasi kailangan matigas siya, paso, right? So, yung ganun na parang you use your everyone, particularly if it has a very similar pattern in learning another language. So, ganun siya dapat.
So, hindi siya pinaglalaban. Hindi talaga siya pinaglalaban.
Hindi mo yung alam mo para matutunan mo yung bagong salita.
Ayan. We have the next question. Thank you so much, Teacher Daisy. No? We have next question here on the screen. Keep your sharings coming, no, mga teachers, and alam natin yung mga, minsan yung sharings nyo makakatulong din sa problems nung iba. This is a question from Miss Jasmine Tagubadiga. Most of our learners were struggling with the long vowel sounds, such as long O and long U. Is there any specific sequence in teaching this long sounds po?
Definitely there's an ideal sequence, no? So parang Again, reiteration natin na parang yung kanilang initial or primary sounds muna. Most likely may problema ito with short vowel sounds. Kaya nung nag-long na yung these particular vowels, nahirapan na siyang makatch, no? So, i-check muna ni teacher kung ang short sound of O and U ba ay nalinaw sa bata at naituro na ba niya ang different ways kung bakit yung O from pot ay naging na siyang long O and O, right? So, it's really checking of the prerequisite skills. Baka naman hindi solid ang render sound of the respondents in the short, with the short sounds of these vowels. Kaya nung nag-shift na tayo sa higher which is the long sound, wala na siyang transition. So, prerequisite skills tayo.
Prerequisites. O yan, mga teachers. Ma'am Jasmine. Next question. I think this is, ito na pala yung next question. Pa-suspense. From Ma'am Kathleen May Arias. When teaching CVC words, should I use pictures? I think na-touch natin to kanina, no? Teacher Daisy. I'm worried that children will just look at the picture to guess the word instead of sounding it out. Teacher Daisy.
That is one time manipulation should happen. Kasi nangyari, the words are under the pictures. No? So generally, they just remember the reading, they just read the words because they're associated with the picture. So what you can do is you can show the picture of a cat, right? And tell the learners, what is this? They will say cat, right? Okay, what are the sounds of cat? Then they should be able to produce ch. If I remove the from cat, when the picture wouldn't hamper them from learning it. But if you would always present the CVC words and under it, and on top of it is a picture, or under it is a picture, then 100% there's a chance that they will just memorize that or associate that with a picture.
Okay, so the suggestion is not to include pictures.
No, have pictures, but don't put words.
Have pictures, but not the words
Yes.
when teaching. Thank you, Teacher Daisy. No, I just like to reiterate again, like to emphasize, no, when you mentioned a while ago how it's very critical for teachers to master the sound, and you suggested that you have to record yourself, to video record yourself, and parang nag-flashback sa akin how in the pandemic, di ba, we are all doing video conferencing, di ba, you're seeing yourself, and parang medyo bumaba yung, ako, personally as a teacher, bumaba yung inhibition ko as a teacher to sound the words, to sound each letters, no? And I think that is a very important technique. And parang if I'm a teacher, or if you're a teacher that is who are listening, you should try that at least once, no? Para rin to challenge yourself.
I think this is a good teacher attitude. No? Humility should always be part of how you are doing your teaching, because it doesn't mean that you're teaching for a long time, you're not going to commit any errors, right?
Diba?
So even me, when I'm presenting a decodable text to my readers, I would definitely practice that, because it's also a sign of respect to your learners. Hindi naman porket matagal ka na nagtuturo, dadampot ka na lang ng libro, babasahin mo sa kanila without practicing it. But the learners would feel that when, wow, my teacher is really modeling how to read this fluently, and I feel that my teacher respects that I learn to read it properly. So if we want learners to be very mindful of how they treat you and how they respond to you, then you have to also give it to them. It's a give and take relationship.
Correct. Thank you for that, teacher. I think we have one last insight from our participants, no? From Miss Mika Mako. As a grade 2 teacher, I've learned that decoding bridges sounds to reading, requiring steady practice, patience and encouragement to build confident, meaningful readers. I like that.
Yeah, I think
Practice
she had touched a lot of key terms here, right? The bridging, definitely from sound to decoding, decoding to fluency, fluency to comprehension. And then that the teacher should be patient, encouraging, and when these things are present, then the learners would definitely be confident and reading would be a meaningful experience to them.
At yun naman ang gusto natin, di ba, Teacher Daisy?
Yes.
Na gusto nung mga bata na magbasa sila. Palagi ko naririnig, ay, yung mga bata ngayon hindi na naman nagbabasa. Baka lang din, kailangan nila ng mas maraming oportunidad para i-enjoy yung pagbabasa, kagaya ng pag-enjoy nila sa ibang gawain.
And we spoke about both ways, right? Why is it that they don't want to read? There might be a factor, right? So, yeah.
Maraming salamat ulit, Teacher Daisy. No?
Thank you
May
also.
mga questions kami dito.
Teacher Daisy, pero patikim lang.
Like, students with dyslexia. But don't worry, I know, Teacher Daisy, meron tong for next session, di ba?
Yeah.
Yes, we will be talking about intervention on August 23, kaya make sure to join us on that day. Again, maraming salamat po.
Thank you so much. I had fun doing it.
For answering all those insightful questions, kahit yung mga answers, no, Teacher Daisy, para it's a point for reflection for us teachers so that we can apply it readily to the people that we serve, who are our students, di ba? We're sure that our Kakolabs now have a ton or a lot of tools sa kanilang mga classroom. At sa mga nag-participate sa Q&A, maraming salamat po. This is what makes our learning space so alive and collaborative. Kaya bigyan natin si Teacher Daisy ng heart reaction, no? The comment section and the chat box is still open. You can type your insights. Babasahin niya ni Teacher Daisy. Diba, binigyan ko pa siya ng homework. Before we end, let us reflect on our discussion for today. Marami-rami, pero marami din naman tayong natutunan, di ba? Please choose one question and respond to it. Remember that we want to give options to our students when they reflect so they can choose what resonates better with them. And they will
realize that they are in charge
of their own learning. Ganito rin po sa atin, di ba? Dalawa yung reflection questions natin. Pero, di naman kailangan sagutin pareho. You can choose one. First question is, after attending today's session, what is one specific action or change you plan to make in your own work or teaching? And when will you start? Second question is, what is one concrete way you will apply something from this webinar in your role, and what is your first step? I know there's a pressure to parang impress us with your answers, no? Tapos biglang i-chat GPT nyo yung question. Huwag po natin siyang gawin. Speak from your experience, speak from your learnings, and speak from the heart. Again, we have two questions, two reflection questions dito, no? And kita ko sa chat box, a lot of you are saying thank you to Teacher Daisy. Talaga natin natutunan from her, di ba? Even high school teachers, kahit phonics para matuto natin yung struggling learners. Sabi ni Ma'am Nancy Velasquez. Hello, Ma'am Nancy. Okay. Thank you so much for enlightening us. Sabi ni Ma'am Nelia Bautista. Good morning po sa inyo. Okay. Again, we have reflection questions on the screen. You can type in your answers. Sabi ni Sir Carlo, mahalaga na malaman natin ang kahalagahan ng bawat tunog upang maiakma natin sa tamang pagbigkas ng mga salita. Tama po yan. Okay. Sabi ni Ma'am Angelica Reyes, I plan to reflect more. Ayan, di ba? Bilis mag-type ng mga kakolab natin. She plans to reflect more daw, di ba? si Ma'am... So fast. Okay. So, type in your reflections, no? Maraming salamat po. I'd like to read your comments, pero ang bilis niya talaga. Always do diagnostics, sabi ni Ma'am Jessie Rina. Ito, we also have something from Jonalie Galvez. Sabi niya, I learned that there's still a lot of things I need to change in order to help my learners read. I would be more passionate in teaching my learners decode and have more patience with them. Yan. Thank you so much. Thank you po sa inyong mga reflections and comments. Please keep them coming. And if you have other insights that you'd like to share, type them in our chat box. Ayan, we have some insights here. Si Georgie Mark Herodias, I will assess first all my learners. Then with that, I'm going to teach them the suited learning remediation strategies. Elconine boxes could help, maybe. Marisa Gumarao, one concrete way to apply this webinar is for my grade 9 student who cannot read word and writing also is hard to understand. Ayan. Diba? During the webinar, diba parang may naiisip ka ng mga students na parang, ganito yung approach ko for this particular student. I will probably start teaching letter sound to letter recognition. One of the concrete ways is to assess my learner's capability so I can know where to start. Sabi ni Ma'am Angelica Mendoza, diba? Yan. I love how yung mga sharing, it transitions from one sentence to a whole paragraph, diba? Damang-dama, diba? As Doc Shirley once shared in her seminar about reading too, do not make reading as chores to children. Correct! It has to be fun for them. Integrate something that they like. Diba? Let's meet them where we are. May shinare din before, pag sundo, pag kilala kung nasaan sila. Diba? Ayan. So, thank you very much, mga ka-collab. Salamat sa inyong participation. We reached over 172,000 live viewers for this morning, diba? Kaya let's keep going on your own and feel free to keep the discussion going in our community. Kung hindi ka pa rin part ng ating STEM Collab Facebook group, now is the time. It's a wrap for Day 1 live morning session, mga ka-collab. We hope you're feeling empowered and more equipped with new strategies to support our early readers. Ngayon, ito yung sunod na mangyayari. This afternoon, we won't have a live webinar anymore. Instead, we're moving into a structured learning task na kailangan yung tapusin independently and at your own pace. Access the structured learning tasks by completing the evaluation form and the post-test via this link. Makikita niyo po yan sa ating screen.
Don't forget, you need to
enter the secret code. Sasabihin ko po ulit ang secret code. Sinabi ko na po nung umpisa, nung gitna, at ngayon muli. Ang secret code po natin ay Elconine. Ito pong secret code na ito ay hindi nyo i-chat kayo sa pagsagot ng form. Please make sure to enter the code in all caps. Pwede nyong isulat ngayon or i-take a screenshot. Elconine. Deadline to submit your post-test and output
is on August 12.
Medyo strict po tayo sa deadline, no? August 12, 11:59 p.m. Kapag August 13, 19 na po pwede. Sorry. Okay. You have 3 days to finish the post-test, kaya make sure to finish everything for that time. That's also why this afternoon is specially designed para
makapag-focus kayo sa
Number 1, downloading the resources. May mga naghahanap ng mga materials kanina. Maaari nyo na pong i-download ang mga resources. Number 2, completing your learning log and case study through the post-test. mayroon po tayong post-test na kailangan gawin. At number 3, finishing and submitting the evaluation form. These tasks, together with your attendance in the morning session, make up your final output. At napaka-importante po nito para magkaroon kayo ng CPD units. Hindi pwedeng attendance lang. Kailangan may submission. Tandaan po, only the first 30,000 participants who registered attended the live morning session via MS Teams and submitted complete valid outputs community to receive live updates or to receive updates of the links of the materials shared by